Strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app. Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Wednesday. How beautiful? Try 74 degrees. Absolutely absurd. And I love it. And I hope it continues, even though it might not to that level tomorrow. About a 15-degree drop. But nonetheless, really good stuff. We got a lot to cover today. Let's first say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, say hello.
Hello.
Beautiful. Billy, say hello.
Hello.
Oh, that's wonderful. You don't even give yourself a picture?
There we
that's
go.
Nice. That's beautiful.
Wow. Billy, Billy with the hat, just like me. What are we doing here? Did we talk before the show?
I like wearing a hat.
You need to.
Yeah, probably.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks for that, Kelly.
Yeah. Problem.
Let's bring Terry McCormick, TitanInsider.com, Main Street Media, to our microphones. The word got out earlier today that Titans defensive end Harold Landry wants out. Terry, what's behind all this?
Well, it sounds like the Titans are giving him permission to seek a trade. I think basically what it is, Harold Landry has a $17.5 million salary next year. And even though this team is starved for pass rushers and he led the team with 9 sacks, that's probably not good enough production to merit a $17.5 million salary. So the options are find a trade partner, take a pay cut, or run the risk of being released. So I think that that's kind of where this thing kind of wound up in terms of, how it came about.
So would that be the hint that he won't take a pay cut?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, that, people are saying, that he needs to take a pay cut based on the production. But no, nothing has come out as of yet to say that he is for certain unwilling to take a pay cut. You remember, there was a kind of an ugly scenario that involved Kevin Dwyer a couple of years ago. And, so far that has not gotten out, but it wouldn't surprise me.
So let me try this one on you. Is this a tad bit of a hint that Abdul Carter is in the future?
I think it's possible. I think they met with Abdul Carter. He spoke of that meeting today up in Indianapolis and said it went well, and he basically championed himself that he wants to be the number 1 pick in this draft. So I don't know that it necessarily means that all signs are pointing to Abdul Carter if they move on from Harold Landry, but it certainly doesn't detract from it. I'll say that.
So Landry a year ago at 28 years old had 71 total tackles and 9 sacks. How big a loss, in your opinion, would he be?
Well, to really the best defenses in the league have elite pass rushers. And Harold is probably a couple of seasons removed from being close to being an elite pass rusher. I mean, he had, 12 and a half sacks in his contract year, probably by far the best year that he's had. He's had double-digit sacks another time or two. He's always kind of been a B-plus type of player. I can't put him in the same league as a Myles Garrett or a TJ Watt or Bosa or either of the Bosas or anything like that. But he's always been a solid guy. I think he's probably at the point in his career where, and if he's smart, he'll broker himself a deal to a contender that needs a pass rusher where he doesn't have to be the main guy that's being focused on off the edge, where he can be a complementary piece and put up big numbers and maybe get himself a nice payday that way once his current contract runs out. If he's smart, he'll go somewhere like Baltimore, Philly, Minnesota, someplace where that, he won't have to be the main cog on the defense, but he can just be one of a number of solid options.
Kelly, anything you want to add to what we've gone through so far?
I was going to say the same thing about Abdul Carter, but Terry, do you think, looking at the draft, I think he's the best player I think he's the best player in the draft. I really do. He has got so much upside. He's hard to block, and he just goes along with some of those Penn State guys that are rushers, man. I just think that's a no-brainer. If they do stay with the number one pick, that's who I would take.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you look at premium positions, which is what you want to spend the top pick on, and, most of the time that is a quarterback if there's one that you see that's suitable and worthy of that pick. But if you don't see that, then you certainly have to go for a left tackle, a pass rusher. If you can't get a quarterback, you got to get somebody that affects the quarterback, whether that's a protector, an attacker, or a, playmaking receiver for your quarterback with a top pick like that. And if they hold on to the pick, and even if they're able to trade down a slot or two, I still think Abdul Carter would be a nice fit for them.
I think the quarterbacks came in the other day. Have you, other than Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, have you been impressed with anybody?
Well, they're not speaking until Friday. I mean, there's some other guys, that could be had a little later on. I think there's some people over there that like some of these other quarterbacks as possible projects if they don't go, with the first pick at quarterback. I think they thought that the Shuck kid from Louisville looked pretty good at the Senior Bowl from what I've talked to some folks, and I think they also liked Kyle McCord out of the Shrine game. Thought that he was impressive, and I think another guy that they might be willing to take a deeper look at is somebody who wasn't at either one of those games because he was busy playing in the college postseason, and that's Will Howard, who you have to be, whether or not he was on your radar as a prospect before all this, I think he has to be on the radar as a potential prospect for what he did in guiding Ohio State to 3 very impressive wins.
This is my last one. Sorry. If we all know they need help on the O line. They talked about the D line too, and we all know about the quarterbacks. But after that, where are they needing at positions right now?
Well, they certainly need numbers at wide receiver. They not only need playmakers at wide receiver, they need numbers there, because beyond Calvin Ridley, you don't have anybody right now that's proven. Nick Westbrook-Akina is a free agent. He may or may not be brought back, depending on what type of offers somebody else may throw at him. I don't think you can count on Traylon Burks for much of anything. Tyler Boyd is a free agent. You got guys like Colton Dow and Mason Kinsey, who mainly have been special teams type of guys. So you're talking about a position group that needs a lot of help, just in terms of numbers, but also in terms of production. You need some inside linebackers. You need safety help because you don't have many numbers there. You could use you could use 2 pass rushers, especially if you're moving on from Landry, and you could use a tight end. You could use another defensive lineman to go with Simmons and Sweat. So lots of holes to be filled.
Yeah, there's a reason they've got the first pick, because they sucked. So Matthew Stafford is out there shopping around, and there's a kind of this, he doesn't have great mobility. He would get killed here. But the Giants are one of the teams that apparently he has at least some, I got to check into it kind of attitude. Do you see the Titans getting in on Matthew Stafford?
I think in theory they would love to have Matthew Stafford. I think that they would they would know that he would be exactly what you would want in a quarterback in terms of, a guy who's a leader, a guy who's talented, a guy who has worked with Brian Callahan, knows that offense, could walk right in and be an immediate major upgrade. But there's a couple things working against that here, George. One, if you trade for Matthew Stafford, you're going to have to give up draft capital, which the Titans are trying to hoard rather than give away. And it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to give away a lot, very many draft picks for a guy that you might get 2 years out of while you're in the midst of a rebuild. The other thing is you're also going to have to probably pay Matthew Stafford more than his current amount if you bring him on, because, he's probably not going to want to just move for nothing. So I think that also would be a mark against it. And then the last thing is this, and not that the Giants or the Raiders are any closer to contention than the Titans, but you had your fill of losing in Detroit. Do you want to come to a Titans team that is so many pieces away that that it's probably, even if you have a great year, it's probably not going to be a situation where you're going to win 10 or 11 games and make a deep playoff push in 2025.
Terry, thank you as always for the update. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, George.
Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com. Billy.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, George. We've got a phenomenal update today.
Phenomenal.
Not a ton
Kelly,
of time.
don't you think we should decide that?
Yeah, Billy. I mean, your confidence is kind of phony right now. It really is.
It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Well, the Georgia Bulldogs were not phony last night. They knock off number 3 Florida, 88-83. They were up by, 30 or so in the first half?
So much for that last night. Thank you.
And then Florida stormed back and I think took a lead late in the game and could have won it, which was crazy in and of itself. But they didn't play much defense last night, and Florida gets knocked out, and Georgia stays on the bubble. That probably would have knocked them out for good, really, last night. But they stay on it and they survive. And we'll take a look at the bubble here in a second. Tennessee holds off LSU. That wasn't easy. Feels like it's never easy down there, no matter how good or bad LSU is. Vols win at 65-59. Number 6 Alabama puts up 100 points again, 111-73 over Mississippi State. They're different at home.
They are a scary bunch at home. You're right.
And then Missouri as well. They wallop South Carolina 101-71. They will come to Nashville on Saturday. And here is a look at the latest bubble, and it's shifting every day. Vanderbilt is now in the last 4 buys section of Lenardi's bubble.
Let me try to make that even easier. If there's 68 teams that are going to get in, Lenardi at the moment has Vanderbilt as number 60.
Yes. And Texas is one of the last 4 in the bubble right now. You know who they play tonight? Arkansas.
Yep.
Which is an elimination game. I mean, I think whoever loses that
does feel that way. Yeah.
There's still a little bit of basketball to play, but you're coming down a stretch here, and that's a huge game. Arkansas and Texas, that is in Fayetteville. Hogs favored by 3.5. Kentucky in action at home against Oklahoma.
That's
actually in Norman.
That's in Norman.
That is in Norman. Cats are a slight 2.5-point favorite. Number 1 Auburn hosts Ole Miss. 13.5-point favorite are the Tigers. A&M.
Huge spreads with Auburn. Yeah. Man.
A&M favored by 7.5 tonight over Vandy. It's going to be tough for Vandy tonight. So that's a look at the SEC. Also tonight, Lipscomb and Central Arkansas. 7 o'clock. Lipscomb has a chance this would give them a share of the title, the ASUN title.
So Kelly, in honor of Lenny Acuff, I'm wearing a little purple. Notice that?
I'll be there as well, George.
Yeah.
I'll be there as well, just hounding you on the text.
No, do not send me a text about falling asleep. That's totally unnecessary.
Well, I mean, it was pasture, depends, and insure. You know what I'm saying? You got to get home and get all that.
That's nice.
We got some other college football notes. Josh Heupel has added an analyst to his staff, an offensive analyst, Seth Luttrell, who was actually fired last season by Oklahoma, but is one of his buddies. They were co-captains of the Oklahoma national title team. Luttrell was Heupel's fullback. He'll be an analyst on Heupel's staff. So Heupel making a move there. Another Oklahoma note. They have hired Senior Bowl executive director Jim Nagy to be their general manager of the program. He's been the head of the Senior Bowl since 2018. It's a big year for Venables, and they're bringing in another heavy hitter. I don't really know a ton about Jim Nagy, but he's done a good job.
Yeah.
At the Senior Bowl.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Venables is on a hot seat.
Yep.
If you think they're going to put up with 6-6 every year,
you can think again.
No.
Also, in the NFL, the Saints general manager Mickey Loomis indicated that they will stick with Derek Carr as the starting quarterback next season.
Really?
Yep. And again, I don't know if that's posturing, but we'll see.
Well, for the Titans, if it's true,
I meant to mention
that's
that to
another
Terry,
one down. And more, look, I don't think they're in love with Will Levis, but I do think there's a scenario where he wins this job by default.
Oh. Yeah, you just never know. We're always talking about these speculations, and Terry's talking about it, but like, we don't know about Sam Darnold. Obviously, we just found out about Derek Carr. I think Matthew Stafford would want too much money, and I'm like, Terry, he's coming to a place where he's already been in Detroit. It's kind of the same situation. Now, if they can turn it around quick, and that's one of the questions that he asked about the O-line, then maybe, but I don't see it.
Another piece of the Saints news, they have hired Peter Sermon to be their linebackers coach.
Really?
Yep.
Beautiful.
He was
Good for old Pete.
He was at Cal as the defensive coordinator, and he is headed over to New Orleans.
Good for him.
Also, speaking of New Orleans, four New Orleans basketball players, New Orleans University or University of New Orleans, whatever that is, who have been suspended since late January, are now under investigation for possible NCAA violations related to sports gambling. New Orleans has lost all 8 games it has played since those suspensions, and I'm hearing that gambling is apparently rampant throughout college basketball specifically.
Well, duh. I mean, to quote the Carpenters, we've only just begun.
But with players,
I've told you this for 2 years, man. It's rampant on every level.
But why? Like with players, though, you're saying players will.
Oh, it's like, and now they're getting money too. So they're shooting craps in apartments. They're doing all that stuff, man. This has been going on forever, man. Like, this is not new.
No, it is not.
This just in.
Well, this just in. Okay, is your update complete?
It is.
Okay. Well, it was good.
It's a really good update.
It was good. It wasn't phony. Your confidence wasn't phony. It wasn't waning at that point. I like it, Billy.
There we go.
So Personality Pete, that was his nickname here. I think it was hung on him by Billy Volek. So he's going to the Saints.
Yep.
Good for him.
When's the last time he was in the NFL?
I don't think he's ever coached in the NFL before.
Since he played for the Titans?
Yeah, it's probably the time that I was playing, 2007, 2006. Right.
Good for him, though, man. I'm thrilled for him. After the break, the hardest working man in Nashville sports, an amateur photographer as well, must have taken 1 million photos Sunday night at the National Football Foundation banquet. Mike Organ will join us, and we got a lot to talk about. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey, Preds fans, the Predators conclude their 4-game homestand tomorrow at 7 against the Winnipeg Jets. Pre-game radio coverage begins at 6. We'll see you for one last game this week in Smashville.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We will get into Nashville at 4 o'clock today. If you're looking for positive, upbeat news, forget it. It ain't happening at 4. This team's quit on Andrew Burnett, and we're going to talk about it with Mark McGee. But first, we say hello to the hardest working man in Nashville sports. That would be the Tennessean's Mike Organ, who joins us by phone. Mike, how many pictures did you take at the banquet Sunday?
I took 85, and I put them all on Facebook, and my Facebook account got hacked last night, and I am now off of Facebook, George, so I apologize. Nobody can see the pictures.
Wow, that's an American tragedy.
Yeah, it happened last night. Facebook account got hacked and cloned, and it's gone.
Okay, well, that's some breaking news.
Yeah, it is breaking news because whoever the hacker is has gone on my Facebook page and put about 50 items for sale, from an electric car to a Harley Davidson, at some incredible prices. So the people trying to buy those are going to be out of luck, unfortunately.
That sounds a little shaky. So
yeah, it is.
You did recently a story, and I guess it was in the notes column, about local teams in the mid-state area on the college level and what their postseason chances were. And it seems like right off the bat, we ought to talk about Lipscomb, because tonight, I believe, is the night that they earn the 1 seed in the A-Sun, which would mean the road to the NCAA in that conference has to go through Allen Arena.
Yeah, I like the home sites for mid-majors, George. I hate seeing an arena like the Ford Center up in Evansville, or when they used to even play at Municipal here, or whatever the case may be, not even 20% full, and especially for those early round games. Because everybody has to travel, and their fan bases aren't that large to start with. So I really like that the A-Sun is still doing home sites for the higher seed. And like you said, it makes the regular season that much more important, which, the regular season's become something of just go through and play some games and get ready for the tournament. But that's not the case in the A-Sun. You're playing for that home court advantage. And Lipscomb is definitely the best team, I think, in that conference, and they have the best shot of any of our mid-majors. We've got about 6 mid-majors here in the Middle Tennessee area, and I feel like Lipscomb is the clear favorite to get that bid. It'll have to be an automatic bid by winning the tournament, but like you said, playing at home gives them a huge advantage.
Lipscomb is almost a 20-point favorite tonight. They're 21-9. Central Arkansas is the opponent. They are 8-22, and so you like Lenny Acuff's chances. I want to hop over to Belmont for just a minute, because it seems to me, Mike, that even though it sounded great and it felt great, and at the time I think we all thought going to the Missouri Valley was a terrific move, the fact of the matter is that it is a real struggle to get into the top 3 in that league. And suddenly Belmont is not going to NCAA tournaments, and at best feels like an NIT, although they may make a run this year. But still, have they made the right decision?
I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a questionable decision. I don't think Belmont's ready after just in their 3rd season to say it was the wrong move. But George, you look over at the OVC, and it's weak. I mean, I know that they wanted to get in a conference where their that would raise their RPI by playing tougher opponents throughout the year, and that has been the case throughout the regular season, and that has been the case. But it hasn't resulted in getting the tournament. And what was it, 7 out of 9 seasons before making that move, Belmont went to the NIT or the NCAA tournament, and they haven't been the last 2 years, and this year is going to be a struggle. I think they're in 4th place right now. You said struggling to get in 3rd. I think they're in 4th right now. They'll go to St. Louis and play that tournament, and they'll have to win it and beat some better teams, the teams that are clearly better than them, in order to get in. So, yeah, I think it's something they're going back and looking at and saying, when we were in the OVC, we just kind of coasted, and then it was either Belmont or Murray to get in the tournament, and now Murray's gone too. Murray's also in the Missouri Valley, so that was an easy pass for Belmont that's gone now.
It's worked out even worse for Murray, and the rumors up there are that Steve Prohm is going to get fired at the end of the season because they haven't been even as close as Belmont's been to getting it done. Mike, they would mop the floor with the OVC right now. Belmont is light years better than anything that league can throw out there.
Yep, not even close. And Murray too. And I don't know what was wrong with that, with the two of them, being the head of the class over there and giving everybody else something to shoot for. Austin Peay every few years would jump up and have a good good team, and Tennessee Tech might have a good team, Tennessee State from every now and then, and but those were the two the headliners, and one of the two were going to go to the NCAA. Sometimes both went, not often, but there were a couple of times. And whoever didn't go to the NCAA probably went to the NIT. And it's hard for Belmont to even or Murray to get in the NIT now.
Real quickly before I turn it over to Kelly, I want to talk about middle. Rick Insell has been every bit as successful on the college level as he was in high school, and that's saying something because at Shelbyville, he won 10 state titles. It looks like he may be dancing again this year.
I would say so. I would say as strongly as I feel about Lipscomb getting in, I feel stronger about MTSU's women getting in. They've been good all season. They did, however, lose to Belmont at Belmont, but Belmont does have a good women's program. But they've been good all season, and they got plenty of momentum going into the tournament, which is in Huntsville, and it's close enough. That team has a really good following, good fan support. It's close enough to bring some fans down there when they get in the last couple of rounds and have some home court advantage or have some fans down there to pull them through. And I like they've got three really good scorers, and they have balance. It's hard to stop them because if you stop one of those two, then one of those three, the other two are going to jump up and hurt you. And you're right. Rick has built the kind of program, the kind of powerhouse that he had at Shelbyville on the college level.
They are projected as a 12 seed right now to play Ole Miss, who's projected as a 5. Kelly, what do you got for Mike?
Well, when he was at Shelbyville, I'm not going to go there. Hey, I'm gonna move on. Sorry. I just had to say that. Mike, Mark Byington. Everybody's all these rumors, or he's obviously a highly valued target for people. But does Vanderbilt, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows unless you hear it from the horse's mouth, which nobody's talked to him. Nobody even knows if anything's going to happen. But does Vanderbilt look to keep him, look to have the money to keep him if somebody does come calling?
They're going to have to, Kelly, because I think somebody's going to come calling. You can look at it critically and say, well, they're still, what are they right now, 10th in the SEC and going to probably have to play on that first day and have not looked good in the second half, which, obviously – traditionally, we've always said that reflects badly on coaching, not making proper adjustments. But when you consider the dumpster fire that he took over, and he has definitely made it respectable with wins over Kentucky and Tennessee, and competing with top 10 teams like that, he's going to be attractive to somebody. Probably some ACC teams that are going to be looking for coaches are going to come calling, and Vanderbilt better be ready to belly up in that case.
Yeah, so the ACC is down. The Big Ten's got. They're still got projected 10 teams going. But with that being said, the SEC is such a hard league now, and George talked about maybe Indiana. He talked about Virginia. But if you're a coach, and I know you're a competitor, and you want to coach the best, and you want to coach in the best league. But is there something in the back of your head as a coach, say Mark Byington, where he goes to Indiana and the Big Ten's not as strong as it has been, certainly not the ACC? Do you kind of look at that as a coach and say, hey, this SEC is getting tougher and tougher and tougher each year. If the ACC stays like that, it's probably going to be easier for me to get in the NCAA tournament. You think they think that?
I think so. Like you said, being a competitor is one thing, and you'd never come out and say that. In your first interview, you're not going to come out and say, after you accepted the job, I'm glad to be here to get out of the SEC because they're so good. But I think in the back of their mind, like you said, it's there. Kelly, the SEC's it's going to be tougher to win the SEC tournament this year than it's going to be to win the NCAA, I believe. And I think there's going to be some teams up at the top of the SEC that are going to kind of hope they get out early
in order to save themselves for the tournament, for the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, I don't know that, because those are still blue blood programs, and some that you mentioned. And, if you go to Indiana and have an easier ride at it, I don't know why you wouldn't. And especially in this day and age with NIL and transfer portal, where it's going to be hard to keep bringing kids into Vanderbilt with the grades and that kind of. Of course, the grades aren't so much of a deal anymore. Unfortunately, that's part of the transfer portal. But yeah, I think it's something that the ACC being down, he's popular in that conference, and I think it's something that he would have to consider depending on what kind of offers he gets, and he's going to get some offers.
And it's kind of like the same thing. Y'all were talking about the Missouri Valley Conference, and like I know that ADs are wanting to get into a better conference, but I think you have to look at the overall picture. And my son being at Murray last year, like they are they're way out of their league in that football conference. I mean, it's not even close. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, the AD wanted to get in the league for basketball, and Murray's struggling now, and Belmont is out of the top 3, like you just talked about. But that's hard each year. Where if you stay in the OVC, you got a shot. But I said to my wife one day, I said, they went into the Missouri Valley Conference, Murray did, to play basketball because they're known for basketball. They don't care much about football. So then I'm sure he was sitting in the room and thinking to myself, oh no, we got to play football. And I know that some of those Dakota teams did not want them in the league for football, but don't you have to think about that as an organization or an AD? Yeah, we want to go here, but is that going to be a better fit for us to get into the NCAA tournament? Because that's what all these mid-majors want. They want to get a shot at getting in the NCAA tournament. I just think if you're an AD, if you're a school, you have to look at those things.
Yeah, and Kelly, the dynamics of this situation go back to when Belmont came into the OVC, and it's exactly what you're talking about. There was one school in particular that did not want Belmont in the OVC. The commissioner did, and some of the Middle Tennessee area teams did because of the how close they were. But Murray State did not want Belmont in the OVC. And why? Because Belmont didn't play football. And football was such a drain on Murray State that whatever money they made in basketball when they went to the tournament, the football program ate it up the next year with its travel and all the expenses that it has. So it's kind of funny that you'd bring that up because here we are many years later, 12 years later, I think Belmont went to the OVC in 2012 or 13. And here we are 12 years later, and Murray's still frustrated with where they're at. And part of the issue is Belmont. And, yeah, you're right. I mean, Murray's not even close to some of the teams in football. I mean, they're as George said, they're not having a good basketball year, but they had a worse football year in that conference. And the only good thing for Belmont is they don't have to worry about the football aspect of it.
That is correct. So let me ask you this last thing. I asked Terry earlier, and I don't know how much you've done on the draft or just looked at the draft, but I personally think if they're going to stay with the number 1 pick, they go after the kid from Penn State, the outside rusher. I think he's the best player in the draft. Are you hearing anything with that first pick?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing if they stay, if they don't trade down, and I think it's about 50-50 right now. If they stay, it's Abdul Carter, and if they don't, then they'll if they don't want Abdul Carter or an edge rusher, then they'll trade down and pick up some more picks because they have so many needs. And I've changed on that opinion. I originally thought it would be Travis Hunter. I didn't think it'd be a quarterback, either of the 2 or 3 quarterbacks if you throw Dart in there. So I didn't think it was going to be a quarterback at any point. And, I take that back. I didn't do a lot of research on Ward until after the season, and I started watching some stuff on him. And then I said, no, they need more help than any of these 2 or 3 quarterbacks can give them. So I've gone from thinking they would take Hunter to feeling like it's Abdul Carter now if they stay at number 1.
Well, and the thing about Abdul Carter, you know exactly what you're getting with him. With Travis Hunter, you know what you're getting, but you may not be able to get the ball to him. So with the Titans, I'm kind of with you now, Mike, and I think this is almost universal that Abdul Carter will likely be a Titan.
Yeah, Billy, and the same thing goes with Travis Hunter. It was just kind of the same situation with him that it was with the quarterbacks. He's a good player on both sides of the line, but he's not the best cornerback in the league or in the draft, and he's not the best wide receiver in the draft. So it left you kind of taking a risk. And if there's one thing that Mike Morganti needs to do is not take any more risks. Don't draft any injured players or any players that play both ways and may not be as good as somebody who only plays one way, which would have been the case with Hunter. And I think that the wise thing to do, and maybe it's not sexy and flashy, but I think it's if you stay there, you take Abdul Carter.
Mike, I want to go back to the SEC tournament. You've covered a lot of them, George. You've been to a lot as well when they've been in Nashville. Is this year the most anticipated SEC tournament? And what are some other tournaments great? Can you remember a year where, man, this tournament was awesome because of the crowds or the games? I don't know that any of them will be able to match the ones in Nashville.
I want to hear what Mike says, and then I'll throw one at you.
Well, I'm probably going to play off of George here and say that back in the day when the SEC had some coaches with character and some players that were destined for the NBA and many of them Hall of Famers, Shaq, Charles Barkley, Dominique Wilkins, Dale Ellis, players that had great ability, Carlos Groves, and were fun to watch play. And you had Sonny Smith and Wimp and so many other coaches that had, Eddie Fogler, who's always stirring something up. And Kentucky was always hard to beat. Of course, now that's gone. Everybody's shooting for Kentucky. But it's been a long time, Billy, and so long that you're probably not old enough to remember it because it's been so long because the SEC just, I don't know, they just couldn't get any coaches with any flash or dash for so long. But now it looks like they fixed things, at least talent-wise. These coaches have done a good job of accumulating really good talent and really good teams. Now I want to hear what George says.
Okay, one of the crazy ones was the first time that Arkansas came into the league. Kentucky was playing. It was I want to say it was in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. And I remember that they opened up the upper deck, which, might as well be on Pluto in the Georgia Dome. I mean, it is way up there. And they opened it up because they had so many Arkansas people in the building who had bought tickets. And when Arkansas came marching into the arena, man, all of a sudden they started doing the hogs and all that crap. And everybody looked around going, dadgum, and suddenly it was like, Kentucky's got a little competition. Now, we haven't seen that in a while because Arkansas has not been what they were in Nolan Richardson's era. But when they first got into the league, man, that created the Arkansas-Kentucky rivalry.
Well,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, this year could be a year where Auburn and Alabama fans could rival the amount of Kentucky fans there. We'll see about Tennessee. They usually bring a decent bit as well. But with how good Auburn and Alabama are, this could be a little bit more competitive this year.
Yeah, Alabama has a strong contingency of fans in the Middle Tennessee area. Not that matters. I mean, you can drive in from Tuscaloosa or Birmingham or wherever, but Alabama has a lot of fans in this area. And, I don't think that you're going to see the blue mist quite as strong as we've seen it in the past. And I didn't mind it back in those days. It was kind of like what we were talking about Belmont and Murray. It gave the rest of the league something to shoot for, but that's not the case anymore. I mean, Auburn is the clear, number one team in this conference, and Alabama is not far behind. Well, I say clear, but then I come back and contradict myself by saying Alabama's not far behind. But those are two really good teams, and that's going to be a good to see how that unfolds with Kentucky and Tennessee in that mix.
Amen. Mike, thank you as always. I'm sorry about the Facebook deal, but my guess is you'll figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, probably start all over again at some point.
Hey, you've done it before. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Bye.
He is Nashville's hardest working sports media personality. He is the Tennesseans' Mike Organ. Since you sort of brought it up, Billy, after the break, I'm going to give you the absolute scalper's paradise. How about that?
Did you say scalpers? Scalpers?
Scalper's paradise.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's hear it.
This is 94.9 The Fan.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Back into the game after that interception.
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here. You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay. Scalper's paradise. Now, understand that, even I understand that now tickets are done in a different way. Oftentimes, your tickets are on your phone, and it's not like the old days where somebody would hang out outside the arena. I need 2. Okay, so it's not quite like that. But can you imagine what a pair of tickets in the lower level at Bridgestone might go for if the Saturday semifinals are Tennessee versus Kentucky and Alabama versus Auburn?
Yeah.
I don't even
yeah.
want to know.
That's crazy.
I mean, can you imagine? Because what you would have
It never
is,
happens that way, though.
No, I'm not saying it's going to, but I certainly am not ruling it out. But think about it. You got 4 bases that are absolutely maniacal. And all of a sudden they descend on Nashville. A lot of them saying, man, I can't miss this. Can you imagine?
I'm sure that's what the SEC would want.
Yep.
I mean, you got some big name programs in that deal right there, and that's like Billy said though, it never turns out that way. You'll have somebody upset somebody, and I don't know. I just when I ask Mike about that, like this conference is so tough now. It's so tough, and you're talking about 13 teams being in. That's kind of crazy. So it's going to be a fun tournament, that's for sure.
I'll say this: last year, I haven't been to a ton of SEC tournaments. George, you're probably
I've been to a ton
better
of them.
to talk about this than I am. And you were there last year, a lot of those games too. Last year felt like one of the first years where Auburn had a good bit of people and Alabama had more people than they usually bring. Obviously, they're great seeds and they're great teams, but I think the tide is turning a little bit, no pun intended, with, number one, you've got it, like Mike said, you've got Alabama fans here, Auburn fans here, of course, Tennessee. You've got Ole Miss fans here. People live here. And so, a lot of it is they live here. They'll go over to the game at Bridgestone. And but last year, especially that championship, there were a ton of Auburn fans here. So I'll be really interested to see if it's maybe a little bit harder for Kentucky fans.
So couple of things. Number one, for a long time, these were football schools who couldn't have cared less, wouldn't have known if a basketball was pumped or stuffed, and truly didn't care. Spring football was more important down there than anything going on in basketball. Kelly, I can remember doing a Vandy Auburn game down there that drew about 3,500 at Auburn. Auburn wasn't very good. We went in, kind of cleaned their clock out pretty good. And, there wasn't anything. Alabama was always better, starting with C.M. Newton, then Wimp Sanderson. They won more than Auburn did over those years. And so their crowds at what is now Coleman Coliseum were better than what you would get at Auburn. Now, I mean, let's face it, both fan bases have figured out this is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that both those schools are kind of known for football, and now with these coaches they've got in there, they've got some really good coaches in Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl. I mean, it's fun to see that. It's fun to see where the SEC is, and we've talked about it on the show. Like Greg Sankey wanted to get the basketball programs better in this league, and he's done a heck of a job. Now, a lot of it has to do with the green. They're paying players. We get it. It's legal now, but you talked about football. Like, I think everybody's going to start going to what Lane Kiffin did last year with his 2-hand touch garbage and 7-on-7. And I don't know how big of a draw that is. It's kind of like the Pro Bowl in the NFL, but I'd much rather go see basketball than that garbage.
Thinking through some of the deals, Auburn had a run in the late 90s, I want to say, with Chris Porter. But before that, it was Charles Barkley and Chuck Person, and an SEC tournament in Nashville in '84 that was a terrific tournament that came down to the wire. Kentucky won on a Kenny Skywalker tip-in at the buzzer to win the championship. And that was a great SEC tournament. Auburn was loaded under Sonny Smith. Think about it. Barkley and Chuck Person both had great careers. So it's not like Auburn has never had basketball, but they have never had the fan support that they're getting now, which is just insane.
Yeah, they're rabid. I mean, those Auburn fans, at Vandy, they traveled, like I said, last year at the SEC tournament. So I'm interested to see the contingent of other fan bases this year to see who travels.
By the way, the Nashville economy always wants Kentucky to play in the noon slot because you get those people out and about drinking and carousing and spending money and making it rain. It's good for Nashville's economy. After the break, stat of the day, which is not good for Nashville's economy. And then Mark McGee to talk about the Predators. And if you're looking for happy news, forget it. It ain't coming. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
This is the most anticipated March Madness that we have had in a long time. There's going to be some great basketball, and the George Plaster Show has it all covered. Whether we take our show to your business or you simply endorse things like March Madness scoreboard updates or other features, we've got it all covered. If you want to be part of a big March Madness, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We can fit all of your needs, and we'll find out what your budget will allow.
Standing reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
This is the most anticipated March Madness that we have had in a long time. There's going to be some great basketball, and the George Plaster Show has it all covered. Whether we take our show to your business or you simply endorse things like March Madness scoreboard updates or other features, we've got it all covered. If you want to be part of a big March Madness, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We can fit all of your needs, and we'll find out what your budget will allow.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get up to 40% off in every department, including 4K TVs, computers and accessories, Bluetooth headphones, furniture, and more. Plus, we have all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. And buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com with express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking local fights with Mark McGee coming up, but first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, or Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, today we've got a little college hoops with Kansas's AP poll streak snapped. Which school is now second in the most consecutive AP poll appearances?
Well, it would be easy to say Duke because the last time Duke might not have been in there, Kelly, would have been 1995 when Krzyzewski had all the back issues.
Yeah, that was the first school that popped in my mind, George, was Duke.
Show us the Duke Blue Devils.
It is Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
76
Really?
weeks. Remember what Tony mentioned about Ziegler and Meshack? I don't know what their number was, but
will you show us the question again?
With Kansas's AP poll streak snapped, which school is now second in the most consecutive AP poll appearances?
Wow.
I wouldn't have guessed that either.
Yeah.
Those who complain about Rick Barnes might ought to rethink some things.
Better rethink it, man.
Might ought to rethink it.
That's the biggest conundrum, the Rick Barnes discussion.
Well, and let's face it, if they were to go out in the first or second round of the tournament this year, you'll hear it some more.
Yeah.
It's almost a carbon copy. Not every year. Last year was different. Made it to the Elite Eight, almost got there, and we're close. But there was a little stretch there where it was first round, second round. Just couldn't really get out of it. But it's a big year.
Okay, we welcome all of you officially into the 4 o'clock hour from our digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. We say hello to Mark McGee.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Having some trouble with Gee. We'll work on that.
Okay. Are you getting the message?
I'm working on it right now.
Okay.
Work a little harder, Billy. Let's go.
Well, George
Man,
thinks
you're
he
paying
has
here.
to work on it. I said I would work on it. So
yeah, well,
hey,
I know what
we're paying you a lot of money. Make us think that the money's going to something good.
So, Kelly, one of the things we're going to talk with Guy about, and he may not know this is coming. The Athletic did a huge story where they polled a bunch of player agents and asked their opinions on things.
Oh, no. I know where this is going.
Yes, with that in mind, let's say hello to Guy. Mark, how are you?
I'm okay, George. How you doing today?
I'm good. So have you seen the Athletic story?
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
But I've seen some quotes from some of the players, which are not good.
Yeah. So the Athletic asks a group of player agents a series of questions, and there are two where the Predators get brought up. Number one, which is the most unstable or poorly run franchise? And one of the agents says they spent $108 million on free agents this summer, older free agents, but yet they just have 5 first-round picks just sitting there and not developing. So what's the plan? What's the direction? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I do, because that's one of the things that was a big concern about Andrew Burnett, is that he seemed to not really want to embrace a lot of the younger players, and that's why Dante Fabro and Phil Tomasino were playing for other teams right now. So there was a lot of complaint early on. It seems like he doesn't want to. He doesn't have I don't know what's good rapport or what, but he doesn't seem to be one to relate to younger players. And right now, this team is shifting big time, and it's a lot of young players, a lot of guys coming up. But yeah, there's been a lot of concern that they're not developing these. They're not working hard to develop these first round picks that they've had. So that's a pretty valid argument, I think.
Here's the second question that got Nashville in the crosshairs. What is the most difficult front office to deal with in the league? And down toward the end, the Predators, according to the agents, came in as the fifth most difficult. And it says on the Predators, here's a quote from an anonymous agent. Nashville is like pulling teeth, dealing with them on contracts at all levels. I'll admit that surprised me.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've been really. I mean, it seems like they're more than generous with the contracts they've been giving out, right? Of late. So that does surprise me because usually Nashville's up near the top of most ratings as far as well-run franchises are. So it is unusual. That does surprise me.
So I want to toss out just what I think I see as a season ticket holder, and you tell me if you think I'm right or tell me if you think I'm wrong. First of all, I have no doubt that a lot of the players were dreading after the break of having to come back here for 7 or 8 more weeks of hockey that means absolutely nothing. This team's been out of contention since before Thanksgiving. The players know it. The fans know it. And I believe on at least 2 occasions here in the last few weeks, they have completely quit on Andrew Brunette. They quit on him in Chicago when they were down 6-1 against the Blackhawks. I think they quit on him Sunday night when they got beat at home by New Jersey 5-0. And to be honest, last night, I don't think they quit, but I saw very little zip whatsoever. So as
I don't know if quit was the word, but what you saw is what you see in a lot of this team. There's just they're not hitting people. They're not aggressive. They're just not playing aggressive hockey. And I've been talking about that for weeks now. And it just doesn't get any better. That's the thing. Nothing's gotten any better. Everybody's talked about it. Players have talked about it. And fans and everybody else talks about it, but nothing's happening. It's the same as it was, earlier in the season.
So while Barry Trotz made very clear in January and said it to me on the air that, look, firing Andrew would have been the easy way out, and I just wasn't going to do that. I respect that. Guy, as I look at them right now, I don't see how you can bring Andrew Brunette back.
You can't. Right now, they're on the verge of having a worse record than they did their first season.
Wow.
Whew.
How does it get this bad?
Man, there's a stat. So,
that's back when you got a point for a tie. They're really, unless they'd have to go on a pretty good little run here to avoid that.
Okay, so the next big event for a Predator fan to sort of latch on to and say, okay, where's the hope, is this March deadline, the trade deadline. In your opinion, who are they going to get rid of?
Ron O'Reilly's first one goes. He's pretty much he's a good character guy. He's a little bit older, but he's the type of guy you want on your team. He's won Stanley Cups before. He's not a bad player. He's a good player overall, but I think he's the first one to go. His contract's not that big a deal to deal with, so I think it makes it easier to move him. After that, Brady Skye, they'd love to get rid of him, but he's got a 7-year contract with the Predators. Nobody's going to touch that, and so he's pretty much stuck where he is. You might have one of the younger players do something or whatever, but there's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you get rid of the Stamkos or Marchessault or people. Or I just don't think you get rid of either one of them right now. I mean, you just got them, and granted, Marchessault's actually second now in scoring, second in points for the team, but Stamkos has like 33 points, and he's he's just really struggled the whole year. And but I don't think you either get rid of either one of them. But there's I mean, you look at this team. I mean, I know going back to what Barry said about firing Andrew. This team's got problems all over the place. They can't score. Their defense is like a sieve at times, and usually Saros has been less than spectacular. And he even showed that, and it carried over into the Four Nations tournament. He wasn't very good in that either. And granted, he had some of the same problems he had with the Predators. Not a lot of defensive help, especially him on losing a couple of good defensemen for injuries. But still, you got three areas they're the keys to your team, and none of them are working. So I think that I think it was Ronald Raleigh said no one's excelling, no one's creating, no one's scoring, and no one's feeling good about themselves. That pretty much sums it all up.
Yeah, it does. So, Mark,
Luke Shin said, I'm sorry?
You and I both know the economics of hockey. Unlike pro football, the teams don't get big dollars off television. And so the lifeblood is season ticket holders. Well, I'm two of those season ticket holders. I have 2 seats, and I hear all the grumbling that's going on right now. And I've got to believe that the marketing group led by Sean Henry, and I don't know this, but they've got to be saying internally, we can't sell this. Give me some thoughts.
No, they can't. They can't. I mean, you've really been at the games, how quiet it's gotten in there. It's just, there's just not a lot. I mean, the fans are feeling the same lack of energy that the players are right now. We have, it's like Luke Shin was saying, this is a team that he's ever been on a team that just can't score a goal, and so watching them be frustrated every night, for the most part, nobody wants to pay the ticket prices to do that, or go through the hassle of go downtown or whatever to see a game if there's no hope for winning. And right now, there's very little hope for winning. There are a lot more jerseys from other teams in the stands now than there used to be.
The other piece of this that has become very alarming is the crowds are shockingly pretty good, given what this team has provided, because this team has no heart. This team has no fire. It has nothing. The fan base has been they've been incredibly patient with this. They really have been. McGee, what is starting to happen in between the second and third periods in the intermission, people are piling out of this place.
Which is never a good thing. I mean, but you're seeing, like I said, you're still seeing a lot more visitors coming in and getting seats to watch their teams play than you have in the past. I mean, it used to be it was all yellow and through this, and you're not seeing that as much like last few games. And so I don't know. I think that I noticed that the other night that between second and third periods is getting a little scarce, and the fans are getting a little bit later coming in too.
What's more demoralizing for the Preds fan base, seeing other teams take over Bridgestone or not seeing your own fans in the arena?
For me, it's
equal. I'd say probably equal to some extent. I think that there's always I think that the fan base is like George says, has been really loyal, but I think that after to a point you got to go enough's enough. And I know you're talking about marketing. They jumped on me big time about renewing my ticket for next year already. I'm sure they've done the same thing to you. And so I don't know. It's just and they were more than happy to give me the same seat again. So I don't know. It's a bad situation right now. Some people are comparing it to the year you saved them, George. It's kind of getting the same feel. 2007, wasn't that right?
Yeah, let's hope not. Kelly, you're listening to all this. What do you got for Gee?
I just want to know. It's kind of shocking. So Gee, you do think Andrew Burnett cannot come back next year? Y'all both do.
Oh, there's no way. You can't do it. There's no way. And I mean, this team has not gotten any better. I think from the very beginning, it really shocked me from the very beginning. He hasn't. I don't think he's got a lot of confidence in himself sometimes, because he kept on changing lines, and doing things, and not really relating to some of the younger players as well as he should have. And so I think that there's just things I've seen from him that I had not seen. I mean, he hasn't had a big resume coaching wise, but he was pretty impressive in Florida, and I haven't seen that in Nashville behind the bench. And he just seems to be. I don't know if he's trying too hard. I don't know if he's trying to impress Barry Trotz, or he's trying to impress the fan. I don't know what he's trying to do, but he has not been confident at all with this team, and I think it's definitely time to make a change. And matter of fact, there are a lot of people. Since November, a lot of people that thought they had some influence have really tried to push him out as far back as Thanksgiving, and it just it didn't happen. But I think it can't be avoided now. It's got to be done. I say as soon as the season's over with, he will be gone.
Isn't that a deal though right now that and I don't know how that organization runs. I don't know if Barry Trotz is a hands-on guy. I don't know if he lets him run his own thing. But like, if I'm the coach and I've got a general manager, head of the organization that's won a Stanley Cup, that's been a Nashville Predators coach, like, don't you go in his office and ask him things and get opinions by him? And hey, if this happens, like, I don't know if there's open communication there or not. I don't know, but like, if I'm there, I'm going to put my ego aside and I'm going to go ask Barry Trotz. He's done it. Like, what do we do here?
Well, I think he's done that. I mean, he played for Barry the first year they had the franchise here. Andrew scored the first goal, in Bridgetown, and so it's just so he's got a history with the team, but he's got a history with Barry, and I know they've talked, but it just doesn't seem like this has just been a snake bit team all around. It's just defied all logic that they were in this situation right now. So I think somebody said 108 million or something like that. Closer to 111 million is what they spent in the off season. So, it's just they have not got the payoff they wanted for sure.
Well, my last thing is so last year, they had some of the older guys, the experienced guys get hurt, and some of the younger guys come on. That's how they had their big run. And then I heard you earlier say that, he's not helping the young guys. They brought a lot of experienced guys in. Is he more of a, I mean, is everybody through listening to him right now? Because I know when you're like when I was 11, 12, 13-year pro and a new coach comes in here and you're going to listen to begin with, but then when, all the things that you're saying and you lose confidence in that and what he is saying, like, is that falling on deaf ears right now, or does he do better with younger guys, which I know that you said he kind of threw the younger guys away, and that's having an effect on everything?
Well, I think he's got a lot of new faces that have come in during the Four Nations break. So it's going to be interesting how he works those guys in to a large extent. Roman Yossi's day to day right now, and that's a big blow. You lose your captain. After he got hurt, he got shut up against the glass in the second period last night, and so he's listed his day to day, and Andrew got a little snippy about how long he's going to be out. And so I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you that. And so, so who knows how long he's going to be. Definitely he's still a part of the play against Winnipeg. So, it's been a tough little run here, the teams they played against, but still, I'm like George. I mean, they just seem like they just are just not that they don't care. It's just they just don't seem to have any kind of and I've been saying this for weeks. They just don't have any kind of push to do anything extra. I mean, I think they're steps slow. That's been a problem before. And one problem that Barry did not take care of, and I think the world of Barry Trotz, one thing he did not take care of this past summer, they've got to have a big time centerman, and he did nothing to really alleviate that, and that's probably one of the more glaring problems they got, and they still haven't filled that spot yet. But there's things to be done defensively. There was always a positive. A lot of young guys on the fence now. There was hope. Luke Evangelista has been out for a while, through 2 games. He's come back, but he's only scored 5 goals in 45 games now. But he comes back, and he's a -3 last night. He's one of 9 players in 12 games last night. That was a -3 or higher, and so that's not a good sign for him. He's one of the players we're looking at. Tommy Novak has disappointed in all levels as a young player. They expected him to be much better than what he was. He was almost a point per game player last year. He's not even close to that this year. But there's so many things have gone wrong with this team. I guess that's why people might say, well, it's not the coach, but it starts there. It starts there.
I got to run, but I really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us.
No problem. I wish we had something good to say about them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully sometime soon we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Kelly, one those like me who go to 30 plus games, there are too many nights right now where they're not competitive. There are too many nights where I walk out of there saying, I see no fire in the belly. And I'll be honest, I'm sick of watching this. And I will renew next year because I'm in this for the long haul. But there are a lot of people out there that I think they're really going to have a problem coercing back into season ticket land. I know we got to go to the break. When we come back, we'll head over to Lipscomb. Big game tonight. The Bisons can clinch the regular season ASUN title with a victory over Central Arkansas. Stay tuned.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville Police Officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about changes in career, people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show, has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths, and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
Hey, Preds fans, the Predators conclude their 4-game homestand tomorrow at 7 against the Winnipeg Jets. Pre-game radio coverage begins at 6. We'll see you for one last game this week in Smashville.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Let's head over to the Lipscomb University campus. The story is very simple. If the Bisons win tonight, they will be the 1 seed in the ASUN tournament. And given the fact that home court is the ingredient in their postseason tournament, what it means is whoever's going to the NCAA is going to go through Allen Arena with a win tonight. Joey Dwyer joins us. He's a student at Lipscomb, but he also writes for Hoops HQ. Joey, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I got a haircut just because George Plaster was calling.
Wow, that's a little shocking.
Don't do that, Joey. Don't worry about what he says.
A total waste of time. So, Joey, they had an injury earlier in the year that a lot of people thought would derail their title hopes. Talk to me about how they got around that.
Yeah, Dylan Faulkner was one of the more unique bigs in the league. There's not a lot of guys at the ASUN level who are as athletic as him, and even a lot of bigs in the ASUN aren't as physical as him, and Lipscomb really hasn't had a guy like that. He was their starting center, probably the best shot blocker in the league by a significant amount, and even I felt like at that point, man, it's going to be tough for them to find a way to right the ship here, and especially find a way to win the ASUN title, especially in the regular season, because that requires more consistency. But even without Faulkner, they've still found a way to figure it out. Their offense, I think, has flowed a lot better. They really had a hard time figuring out how to play Faulkner and Jacob Ognacevic side by side. It felt like there was 2 guys trying to post up on every possession, and that's not really how Lipscomb's offense is designed. Now they've kind of looked a little bit more like a Lenny Acuff team. They've got Charlie Williams, a big who can pass it, who can shoot it, and man, they have really started to play the basketball that I thought they would play. It didn't seem like this team that's been there the last 8 games was in there at a lot of times, but they've won 7 of the last 8, and all of the wins that they've had are by double digits. And the one loss they had was against Eastern Kentucky, which Eastern Kentucky just appears to be their kryptonite. That's what they've got to hope that doesn't happen. They've got to hope that if they're the 1 seed, EKU is not the 4 seed. And if they're the 2 seed, that EKU is not the 3 seed. I think that's really what you're hoping for, maybe even more than home court advantage in the ASUN. It's EKU is Lipscomb's kryptonite, and it's got to find a way to dodge them. But other than that, I've been really impressed with what I've seen, especially without Dylan Faulkner, who's such a dynamic player.
So help me with the postseason format. How many teams get in? It sounds like what you told me is 4 get into this. Is it a 2-game deal or a 3-game deal?
So it's a weird bracket, and it's also a weird tiebreaker. There's 10 teams that get in, and there's a round where it's the 9 and the 10 play and the 7 and the 8 play, which you generally think it's the 7 and the 10 and the 8 and the 9, but they play on campus sites. So say, for instance, Lipscomb gets the 1 seed. then you're going to have Central Arkansas, and I forget who the 9 seed is, but I think Stetson. Those two teams will play at Allen Arena the night before the winner plays Lipscomb. So it's really a weird tournament, but it is campus sites. From that point on, there's 4 teams that host, 10 teams that get in total, and 4 teams that have to play in a play-in type scenario. So it's complicated. The tiebreaker is also complicated. You would think they would just go with net ranking, but it's you go down the list of teams and see who has a better record against the 3rd place team, who has a better record against the 4th place team. So for that reason, Lipscomb's going to need Florida Gulf Coast to win tonight against Bellarmine and take care of business there for it to get the 1 seed. There's a lot in the air still, even if it seems like it's a pretty straightforward method for Lipscomb to get the 1 seed.
So wasn't a big key to all this to get Ognasovic to come back after an injury, to come back to Lipscomb?
For sure. That was a huge thing this time last year. I had always thought that he was going to come back. Everything I had heard was that he thought he owed Lenny Acuff another year, and he does have another year of eligibility that he can use to go up if he wants to after this year, and his numbers certainly give him a chance to do that. But I just generally think that he had always kind of had this in mind. He knew what the money was going to look like elsewhere. He knew what the stadiums were going to look like there. And I think the key ingredient to this is not only him coming back, but also Will Pruitt deciding to come back. I think if he wanted to, he could have had his pick of a lot of schools that weren't Lipscomb this offseason. He could have made more money. But, man, something about this program has allowed guys like him and Jacob Ognasovic to come back and to really thrive. So it's an interesting study in the NIL era where everybody's leaving everywhere to go up. Lipscomb has had guys stay and has had guys buy in. And I think a lot of the reason for that, too, is they lost North Alabama in a complete heartbreaker last year in the ASUN tournament when it looked like it was completely wide open. But if there's one thing that people need to know about Lipscomb men's basketball, it's that it's something that guys like Will Pruitt and like Joe Anderson and Jacob Ognasovic, who could have gone elsewhere, for some reason or another, those guys decided to come back and stick it out for one more year and try to fight through this together. So it's a cool story if they find a way to win it, but this Lipscomb team throughout the last couple of years has been snake bit, even if it's been the best team in the field remaining.
Kelly, I know what both you and I think, that the reason under why they've stayed, why those kids have stayed, you can go through the alphabet and stop at A. It's Lenny Acuff.
That's right. Joey, talk about, like, I know they're not even thinking about this, but, like, they're about to lose some really key guys, like J.O. Like, if he comes back, like you said, he's got another year, but, like, Joe Anderson was a transfer in. He was a home run. The kid they got this year from Jacksonville, Giassi Powell, I mean, he's played really good. And then you got Will Pruitt. How do you, like, if you're Lenny Acuff, and Lenny Acuff's an older guy, and you know, a lot of older guys are getting out of this stuff because of the NIL stuff, but he's stuck around. I really enjoy watching those guys play, but how do you replace those guys?
It's really difficult, and if Lenny Acuff wants to do it next year, he's going to have a complete rebuild on his hands. You're losing, like you mentioned, your starting point guard, your starting shooting guard, your starting small forward, your starting power forward could leave, and Jacob Ognasovic, and then Dylan Faulkner will be back, but you've got to surround him with something. He's not a take over the game type player who can do it without a good guard alongside him. So Lenny Acuff is going to have to hit on some transfers in a way, even unlike he did this year. I think Giassi Powell was a great get for them, but even you look at the other guys they brought in, Kellen Boylan, Miles White, Charlie Williams, they've all been fine, but none of them are guys that you want to hit your future to necessarily. So they're going to need a transfer point guard. They're going to need that transfer point guard to be at the level that Joe Anderson has been at or somewhat close to it. They're going to need another Darian Boyd level addition. They're going to need to keep Dylan Faulkner. They're going to need another AJ McGinnis level transfer addition. Acuff's got a few good transfers in his day at Lipscomb, but man, it's going to have to be all at once, and they're not going to have much margin for error on misses. They're going to have to hit on just about every transfer that they recruit, and it's a tough spot for an old guy to be in, like you mentioned.
And George knows him. I've watched his ball teams for a long time now because my daughter plays there. But what makes Lenny Acuff different? I mean, you hear about guys like these big Power 4 teams coming in and learning his offense. And, he was at I think it was UAH for a long time, and then he comes up here. Like, what makes him different? Because I enjoy watching their offense, man. That ball moves. They back cut people. I know Will Pruitt. So he's told me how much he loves him, and that's the reason that he came back. I mean, George hit on it, Lenny Acuff. But what makes Lenny Acuff different?
First of all, I think it's just the way he wants to run things and kind of the way he fits at Lipscomb specifically. I think if you look around the country, there's a couple of guys they could have hired for that job, and I don't think any of them would have done as well as Lenny Acuff has. They could have done better than he would have if you go to a job like Stetson or a job along those lines. But I think he fits the school perfectly. I think he kind of embodies what they want in their head coach, and a lot of times that is viewed as a negative, that a school is kind of catering to those type of things. But I don't think you can win at Lipscomb if you don't understand the job and you don't understand what makes it tick. And I also think just the way he approaches offense is really unique. And a lot of coaches, John Calipari comes in every summer to see him. Buzz Williams said the only time that he would visit someone in Alabama was Lenny Acuff when he was at UAH. So there's a lot that guys want to learn from him, guys who have been more successful in their career than he has. And I think it's just the efficiency that he approaches offense with. There's not really many wasted dribbles. Everybody on the court, especially on this team, knows what exactly they're supposed to do. They know where the ball's supposed to be going. They know what shots they should be taking, what shots they shouldn't be taking. And I just think they know exactly what they want to do offensively. And they've done a great job recruiting guys who want to buy into what they've done. And if a guy comes in, and they've had a few of these over the years where they don't know exactly how they fit within this system, they don't really last very long. And that's why guys like Will Pruitt and Joe Anderson have stayed around and have had successful careers here. Again, it's like Joe Anderson probably wouldn't have had this successful career if he had gone to Campbell, like he thought about in the portal or somewhere like that. It's this offense fits him perfectly. And it's kind of the same thing with Will Pruitt. I think he would have been a little more successful had he went elsewhere than Anderson, but it takes a certain level of offense to unlock the guys that he's recruiting. And it takes a certain level of guy to unlock the offense that he wants to run. There's so much motion, so much cutting, so much unselfishness. And he's really catered his program to that over the years.
Let's just put you on the spot. They've been snake bitten the last couple of years. You think they make the NCAA tournament? You think they win their tournament?
I mean, everybody here has a little bit of, I guess, reservation in their head based off seeing the way this has ended the last few years. This feels like the best chance, and I honestly think this might be the best chance they'll ever have under Lenny Acuff. I think he wants to keep going for a few more years, but even then, you look at the rebuild they'll have to engineer next year. You look at the guys he has this year and kind of how the climate has changed, and in a lot of ways, that climate doesn't benefit a school like Lipscomb, who is so tied to their values and kind of the type of guy they're recruiting and retaining those type of guys. I think this is his chance, right? This is the year that they're going to have to get it done. And if they don't get it done this year, you're going to wonder if they ever can do it. And man, it feels like there's something in the air, but you felt that way last year when they lost to North Alabama at the buzzer too. It's a really interesting week in March around this conference where there's a couple teams who think they've got a shot, and sometimes one of those teams isn't even the one that gets it. So it's the time, it's the year for Lenny Acuff and this team if they want to do it, and they know it. They've handed the ball off to their 4 fifth-year seniors. They've let them do it, and as Lenny Acuff has said, he's going to let them run the ground ball out, and that could determine a lot of how this program is viewed moving forward.
Joey, thank you for doing this. Looking forward to being there tonight, and thank you for the visit.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'll next time I'll get a haircut, so just let me know in advance.
Joey Dwyer joining us to talk a little bit about Lipscomb and Central Arkansas tonight. Okay, after the break, going to open up the phone lines, and I'm looking for 2 or 3 red-blooded Americans who have things they want to talk about at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, how else can they get in?
Chat room's open. It's open on YouTube right now. We've got a couple. We've got a Titans comment actually to get to, so we'll get to that. But still need some more in the hopper, so load them up. But you can also do it on Twitter and Facebook as well.
This is 94.9, The Fan.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are on this Wednesday afternoon in the 70s today. Let's just see. Just
the
out of
last 2
curiosity.
days. Could you imagine if every day felt like the last 2 days?
San Diego, man. It's like this every day.
Gosh,
70 to 76 degrees, yes, with wind blowing off.
Right now,
blowing all the
71.
time. Yeah, I've been outside all day. I'm sure my face is probably red. Don't
Mine's
say anything, Billy. I'm already a redneck. I know it.
Wow.
Stormy from earlier, we're talking about the Titans. Who in their right mind would want to play behind that porous offensive line? No amount of money is worth it. The Titans are stuck with Levis by default.
Okay, let's talk through that concept because Kelly, more and more, I'm starting to believe that may be what ends up happening.
Man, I'm starting to believe that too, George. It's funny how we think all these, we prognosticate on all these guys coming out in free agency, and we think Sam Darnold, and we think Derek Carr is going to come out. And of course, Kirk Cousins is because he's obviously been let go by the Falcons. But You just don't know. You don't know what people are thinking. You don't know what organizations are thinking. If it's me and I'm in the Minnesota front office, I am not letting Sam Darnold go. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to franchise tag him. I'm going to do something to keep him there because J.J. McCarthy, we all drafted him. We all think he's all world. We love him. He won a national championship at Michigan, but still there's doubt. You really don't know until he gets out there under the lights, under the pressure of these Micah Parsons of the world rushing him. What does he do? It's different than college. So I don't know. This is just an intriguing time of year for me because we all sit here and we talk about what they're going to do and what we think they're going to do and what we hear they're going to do. But just like Mickey Loomis talking about today, you don't know. Like there's so many lies that go on because they're trying to get you off the trail. So nobody truly really knows. Like you're going to hear lies from you're going to hear, untruthfulness from the Titans with what they're going to do with the first pick because they don't want people to get a beat on it, unless they're just sold. And I'll be honest with you. If it's me and I'm keeping the first pick, I'm getting Abdul Carter from Penn State. He's the best player for me. He's the best player on the board. If you don't want him, then you got to trade that pick and you got to get multiple picks and you got to stack up.
Isn't the unfortunate part, guys, though, that this is not a year where number one guarantees you a haul if that's what you want to do?
No, you're right. But I don't. You never know. But that's what I'm saying, George. You never know what's going to happen. Like stuff is happening right up to the draft, even during the draft while it's going on. You're getting trades. You're getting trade rumors. You're getting people calling each other because they're anxious about what's going to happen. They're anxious about getting a guy. So you just never really know. But it's a good spot to be in for the Titans. Now, it's not a great spot because of the year that you had, but it's a good spot because you kind of hold the keys to the Cadillac. You can get a good player. But I was going to ask Mike, and I'm going to ask you guys this. We've talked about it over and over, but they have got to start getting GMs and personnel people that start making right decisions from round 3 to 7.
No,
they've got to do that. You've got to start getting players like, when they're not hitting on 1s or 2s or 3s either, but like you've got to start making heyday when everybody's turned off the draft and nobody's watching it. You got to start getting good players because that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers, the San Francisco, they find those players all the time.
No, you are dead on right. Okay, let me take a phone call. Ron, I think, is on line 1. Ron, welcome in.
Hey, George. Greetings. Hey, I got a question for you. You're an old-time Vandy person. Can you talk to me a little bit about what happened back in the, maybe early 90s with the tennis ball incident that cost Vandy a championship?
Oh, yeah, I was there that night. So my memory of a couple of things is foggy, but somewhere Dwayne Shinsis, the Florida center, something had happened somewhere else where a tennis ball got thrown. And so the league put out sort of a thing to the officials. If a tennis ball comes out of the stands, boom, automatic tee. And John Clockerty was the official in the middle of this thing who basically got forced by league rule when the tennis ball hit the court to tee up Vandy. Okay. Because of that, Florida is able to get the game into overtime. They win the game in overtime. It costs Vandy, I want to say, a share of the SEC title. It may have been outright. Hell, it's been 33 years ago, 34, 35, whatever. My memory is a tad bit fuzzy, but John Clockerty told me later on, years later, that CM never forgave him for that.
Wow. Interesting story. Not very talked about very much, especially these days with, with all the running the court after the wins and everything.
Yeah, it was, man, I remember I was sitting in section D, down in the lower level that night, and the tennis ball came from my left shoulder. and that's about all I know.
Yeah,
Wow,
there's
that's an interesting story. I appreciate you enlightening me.
Sure. I saw Billy, 1989 was the year.
Yeah, there's a story in The Athletic all about this, which I want to read now, but there's a ton of info on it. 1988, it looks like, or I guess it was probably 89 with SEC play.
Yeah.
But Shinsis, he was already a popular target, apparently, for opposing fans. There was a fight outside of a Gainesville nightclub over the previous summer in which he reportedly wielded a tennis racket, got him suspended for the first 4 games of the season. So
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Let me take one more phone call real quickly, and that would be Tony in Nolensville. Tony, give me a couple 3 minutes if you can.
No problem, George. Hello, everybody. Kelly, while you've been away, you wouldn't believe how Billy has really talked how he was really having a good days with you away. So I don't know if you knew that.
Tony, was he talking about? Was he talking about me?
He was talking pretty big.
Oh, he was. He's pumping his chest, huh? He got his chest out like he's been doing some bench press, huh?
Tony, we don't need this.
He was defending his territory pretty good, so I've got to give him credit on that. He was doing a good job of it. He was talking bigger than he stood that 5'9" that he is.
5'10".
Tony, let me give you a for instance. Okay, we have a banquet. George and I do. Yeah, we're bringing it up, Billy. So we have a banquet. So I had a guy come up to me and said, "Hey, you got to lay off on Billy. You're really too hard on him." Well, about 10 minutes later, I see Billy, and George has instructed Billy, "Hey, we've got a chalk talk." Well, what does Billy do? He forgets the camera. That's why I give Billy a hard time, Tony. You got to understand.
You've now taken water.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
It's really good. Hey, y'all talking about the SEC basketball tournament that's going to be a Bridgestone? George, I kind of look at it like being Hoover in May. Going to be looks like it's going to be Hoover in Bridgestone. Because so many good teams to play in this in it, and that's why I've always enjoyed going to Hoover as much as going to Omaha. Is you're going to see the best of the best play in one spot, and I think you're going to get a lot of that when the SEC basketball tournament rolls around. And
I think you're right,
George. Let me touch on something here real quick, you guys. I have to be quick on it. I'm an Austin P man and all that stuff. My alma mater. But I am really tired of seeing Corey Gibson wearing these fatigues as he coaches in the basketball games. He wears them out of respect to being the 101st, and I get that and all. But he's, it's almost, I've heard more and more people ask me, why does he wear these fatigues? And I really think you ought to kind of rethink this. If, being supportive of the 101st, I think we all are. Put you a patch on the jerseys or on your uniforms, put the Screaming Eagle on there. But let me continue wearing these Army fatigues, coaching at the bench in every game, both home and away. I think it's really gone a little too far for me. And I'll say it for me. I don't know if y'all had an opinion on that, but I saw it again the other night, and I said, this is great. So, but guys, I just wanted to touch base with you. Good seeing the three amigos all back together. So, good show as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
Kelly, I got to be honest, I hadn't given it much thought. I saw that he wore them a couple of nights ago against Lipscomb, and it didn't help him.
I'll have to apologize because I couldn't hear what Tony was saying. He was going in and out on me. What was he? I asked Billy, what was he talking about?
He thinks that the head coach at Austin P is wearing the Army fatigues.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'll say this. I think if I was going to do it, I would pick out one night and make it really special.
Pick out a couple of nights.
Yeah.
2-3 nights a season, a big home game, maybe your trip to Lipscomb. But I'm kind of with Tony on this one too.
A little bit.
No, I agree. Make it special for one night. Like don't wear it over and over. I haven't seen that, man. They've got I don't know if you've been up there, George, but their new facility at Austin Peay is unbelievable now. It's nice.
That's a little bit of a mid-major sleeping giant with that arena. Just with that arena now. I mean,
the Predators are a part of that arena.
Correct.
They're a part of how that ended up happening.
Well, they need to take Austin Peay needs to take advantage of that
facility. Yeah. It's not like when Dave Luce was there. After the break, Kelly, you want to talk about a special night? We have 3 picks this evening.
What's special about that, George?
Not much.
Are you going to go 3-0 or 0-3 or 1-2? What are we doing?
I think we're going 3-0.
Do you? Well, that was the right answer. I didn't expect anything else.
No, you be the judge when we come back. Plaster Bet of the Day is next on 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville police officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about, changes in career and people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show and has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. And that's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
94.9 The Fan.
Big games around the country. Where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Burt Durham Injury Law. Let's take a look at what happened last night. Alabama covered the 8 big time.
Boy, they covered it huge. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've got 3 picks tonight. We're going to go out west, I guess, even though it's the ACC for this one. I just think SMU is a considerably better team than Cal. When I watch Cal, I just come away going, Yeah. We're taking SMU, even though it's on the road at Cal. Game number 2, Wake Forest at home, -7.5 against a Virginia team that can't throw it in the ocean. Offensively, they are awful. Wake, I think.
The Deeks.
Bigger line than I normally will give you. And then this one, the Hogs at home against a Texas team that to me is an underachiever. I do not rule out the possibility of a coaching change in Austin at the end of the season. This team ought to be better than they are. I think it starts with coaching. Tonight, Arkansas at home -3.5. Book it.
Oh, book it. If you're listening out there, take Texas. He booked it. He never wins the book it anymore. He used to way back in his prime. Now he's not in his prime, so the book it's aren't working so well.
You're not in your prime either. We're out of here. Billy, you are in your prime.
Whatever that
really?
means.
Try to remember the camera.
Yeah, remember the camera. Remember all the stuff, Billy.
We'll see all of you tomorrow. Mark Griffin will join us.